Hello and welcome to another Tonebase live stream. I am very excited to talk today with Tonebase artist and Cuban maestro Rene Izquierdo about how we can get our hands ready for an effective and productive practice session, an exciting performance, a thrilling competition, or any exam on a music university. But before I welcome our guest, I'd like to welcome all of our viewers, not only from Tonebase, because today we are also streaming live to YouTube and to Facebook, as well as we are doing a public live stream today. If you happen to be new here, our mission here at Tonebase is to democratize access to the highest quality music education, giving everyone the opportunity to learn from and be inspired by the best. We do this by producing instructional video content in the form of lessons, courses, and interviews, all taught by world-class performers and educators, and by regular live streams like the one you are seeing right now. We do about 3 to 4 live streams like this with some of the best guitarists in the world every week. And René was so kind to provide us with a PDF file filled with his exercises from his warm-up routine. You can find the PDF in the forum by clicking the link that I provided in the description of that video, or by clicking join discussion thread if you happen to watch this on Tonebase. And if you click on the link, it should lead you to this website over here, where you can find, where it is on my screen. Yes, over there, where you can find the PDF by René. Right here, if you click this button, or if you click over here. So I am very excited and to welcome, without further ado, our friend and Tonebase artist and overall great guy, Rene Izquierdo. Hi, how you doing?
How you doing, Martin? Great
Awesome.
to be back.
Awesome. So good to have you. We have a very exciting topic today. We are going to talk about warming up and your warming up routine, and all the tips and tricks that you can give us for that. But first of all, René, why do we warm up?
Well, that's a good question. Like any other, like any other great athlete, because we there's this physical aspect of performing that we cannot ignore, and like you wouldn't wake up and start running a marathon without doing proper warm up. You should also consider the same for guitar, as a way of making sure that you understand where you're at that day, what feels good, what needs to be looked at, what needs to be worked, and more importantly, like oil the machinery. Get your fingers smooth and running and synchronized, and you get a feel mostly of what you can do at that very moment. So it's for me, actually, the older, when I was younger, I could pick up the guitar and play it, and there was no problem. No warm-up, almost none, actually. Oh. But as we get older, I'm not saying that was a good thing. That was just immature, young self. But as I get older, I realize the importance of that, especially also to avoid injury. Because as we start engaging in performance, we don't realize sometimes if our fingers are not properly warm, that we will end up pushing or trying to deliver in the not in the best optimal conditions, and that could lead to tension and many other things that are bad for your playing in the long run. So I will suggest for everyone, if you have the time, to actually do a daily warm-up routine, and also separate different ideas, which we will discuss depending on what the circumstances are. So, did that answer the question?
Awesome. So great. Very, very cool. So, it's so true that we are people of habits. When we start learning guitar like at a young age, and it just happens to work, we tend to not want to change these habits. But as you're saying, as we grow older, or as the circumstances just just change slightly. For example, you're from Cuba, and then you moved to Milwaukee. I guess the temperature difference is also kind of unique.
Oh yeah.
So I guess this plays as well in needing more time to warm up, just from the physical perspective, because it's just way colder where you're right now, I guess.
Yes, yes. Actually, I remember before I moved to Milwaukee. I lived in Miami for a couple of years, and then I moved to New York, to New Haven, Connecticut, when I attended Yale University. And there I remember like how much of a shock was for me to play in such a much colder climate, especially after November. So what I did is I get a very, very inexpensive guitar, and I will practice outside for a little bit, getting used to see if I could move it. Then I understand that that's not necessarily a great idea either, but it helped me like at least understanding that I could actually move my fingers, and how to deal with that situation when that occurs.
I think this is the second very important topic that you are addressing. That the confidence that you are gaining when you are warmed up. For me, this is maybe also like one of the most important aspects of warming up. Not only get your body ready, but to get your mind ready and to know,
Absolutely.
okay, I'm warmed up now for the first round of the competition or for my exam. And if I know that I do this routine that I'm having here right now, that I will be ready to deliver, and everything else that is like feeling like an obstacle, that's in my head. That's stage fright, that's anxiousness or something like that. But just to know that from a good habit of warming up comes the readiness that is going on. That would be that's kind of important as well, I guess.
And you also get acquainted with the consistency that you are able to attain after you do certain set of exercises. So the first thing, and I will like to address for everyone listening, welcome all. There's no magic bullet here. There's only you understanding your own body and being very attentive to what's happening. It's not that I'm going to give you a set of exercises that if you do this, it will serve you well forever. Yes, the exercises will work, but it's the application to the exercises what is the most important, and how it reflects whichever issue you may be having. So having said that, I should follow up with the idea that in a concert situation, nothing is ever ideal. So, and you need to be ready for each, sometimes you will go and play in a hall that is a little bit too cold, or it's a little bit too hot, or that it will have air, like, going through the stage and then your hands get cold. Everything you will find during your performance lifetime. And although we cannot control this, we at least understand as we get older and keep playing how to deal with these symptoms. We all get nervous when we perform. Stage fright is something that is needed because it gives you a little bit of an edge. If it's something that, to a degree that you can control it, and that's what the issue is about. Warming up help you get a little bit more confident in that beginning of the concert, which is always so critical to the way things are gonna go. So I would recommend, if you have the time, to try to practice, because this is a key question that everybody asks, but how much time do I dedicate to this? And the answer is depending of what you're trying to achieve and the amount of time you have. I would say, for me, even at this point, if I can do 1 hour of technique a day, it would be very beneficial. However, not every time when I go to the concert hall, I have the time of spending a full hour or even longer than that. I've been in situations in which I arrive and the concert hall was actually occupied still by a previous performer. It was a flute teacher, I remember one of the times, in UNT. And I really had to go straight to the stage. No warming up.
Oh my God.
And of course, that's even less than ideal. But those situations may come up, and then you need to understand how you're going to deal with that. And then what I did immediately, I switched a little bit the program so I could kind of warm up as I perform rather than just starting with something way too challenging without being in the prime conditions. So therefore, I try to have different kind of groups of things that I would do depending on the time that I have. I could do a warm-up in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20, and so on. And you should understand also the same for yourself. As you do these exercises, you will have some exercises that you will, prefer, and that that will give you certain results that you feel good about doing. And then those exercises, those are the ones that you need to keep and you filter, because you certainly cannot do the entire book just hoping that things will work. Because at some point, when you're warming up, if you pass a threshold that is individual for everyone, then you start getting tired, and then you're getting the diminishing results after that point. Like, for example, I found out that if I warm up more than 20 minutes before I perform, then after that point, I start losing what I gain.
Wow.
So I just, try to, administer what I need to do and just work. More importantly, also on the green room, which I see very often and I listen very often, the performer before they come in competitions and festivals, they are playing the piece until the very last second, and it's like, I try not to do that as much as I can. First of all, because if I'm not ready, I won't be ready with another 2 more minutes of playing. If there's a fragment that you still cannot get, one more time that you pass through it's not gonna create a lot of difference. But, however, what it can give you a lot of anxiety. If when you play, it all of a sudden doesn't come out. I remember doing that once, and I went blank in the warm-up. I was running a piece, and I went blank in one fragment. So like, oh my God.
Damn.
And I had to go to stage.
And then what you gonna do?
And then when I was on the stage, I was freaking out until then just, thankfully it went well, and I just could play it all fine, but I was terrified until that very point. Oh, am I going to go blank? What is the note? What is it? And I couldn't remember. So what I try to do is either play different pieces or just do what I mostly do, which is do a set of warm-up and don't necessarily play much. In my warm-up, I will consider the first and second piece that I will have in the program. What elements are always present? Every warm-up should have arpeggios, slurs, synchronization exercises. I would say even opposing motion and stretches, because when you get intense or nervous, your hand have a tendency of not wanting to be flexible and relax. And when you're losing that, you're losing extension. So doing a little bit of extension exercises is always helpful, in my case.
Awesome.
If you're doing tremolo, then you should have an element of tremolo in the warm-up. Something that will help you. Sorry, you were gonna say.
Yes, I just wanted to add to the people from Facebook and from YouTube, because the guys from Tonebase already know that. If you have any questions, feel free to let us know, and we are going to answer the question at the end of this live stream. And we are very happy to hear from you. If you are on the Tonebase live stream, you can use the red Ask button. And I have also the engine from Facebook and from YouTube open, so we can go into this question as well. I need to do some clicking, but I hope you'll forgive me for that today, because this is a very, very, very exciting one for us to share all of your experiences with that with the whole community. We have one question concerning about the temperature that I want to forward you. I'm not sure if it's 100% serious, but the question from Kevin is: do your nails grow slower when you're in a colder climate?
Actually, I haven't noticed that. It may be or may not. I know one thing that also a secret for having good nails as well is drinking lots of liquid. Water specifically helps a lot, which, by the way, I should have a little sip. So...
It's true. Well, when talking about temperature, I think the how do you say the consistency of my nails or the how they feel. It's different, obviously, because you don't have so much humidity in the air as well. So of course your nails will change with the temperature as well, I guess.
That I do notice. Like, you know, they get drier and they get brittle. They can crack easier. So every time, you know, try to put, you know, creams or moisturize or even olive oil, anything that will help. And what happens is, like, we wash our hands constantly. So all the oils.
Why is that suddenly?
Well, I'm not meaning only on the COVID times, but yes. In between water now and alcohol that we were using for over a year, that does not help your skin and your nails quality. So every time that you wash your hands, I will make sure that I will try to put back some oil, even if I pick it up from the face or from the nose and get it back and then just rub it into the nail. Yeah. It helps a little bit, you know, to avoid in the cold weather. I have not particularly noticed if my nails grow slower or not, but it may be a fact. I don't know. But I do know that they get drier, brittle, and the sound completely is different, as the instruments sound as well. You know, the strings get more tension when when it's drier.
That's true. That's definitely true.
And it's everything sounds a little bit more. I would say the quality of a little bit more nasal, more brittle in the sound.
Yeah, harsher maybe.
Yes, harsher. Yes.
Yeah. That's true.
So I mean, having nails. Oh, by the way, I would recommend, if you can help it, not to file your nails at least one day before. Like, keep the same shape, like for 1 or 2 days before the concert. Don't go the day of the concert and start like. I mean, if you can help, if there's no, you know, if something broke, of course, obviously you have to attend to it. But if you do not have the need, try to maintain the same length from the prior 2 years, so you feel a little bit better the contact on the strings, and it doesn't change right on the spot. You know, because that's one of the things that I also consider in my warm up. If my nails are a little shorter, then I will have to, like, you know, make sure there are a set of exercises that can be done to feel more grounded and bring the hand closer. That will help.
Talking about the set of exercises, I just want to briefly show you the PDF, or not you, but the people from from Tonebase, Facebook, and YouTube. The PDF that we prepared is looks like that. Yes, he's a little bit in the way, our dear maestro, but this is the PDF that he prepared for us with. He's going to go over that and explain what all these numbers and stuff mean, so that you are equipped with some very, 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 very cool warming up exercises. And you can get this exercise by clicking on the link. This will lead you to the forum. The link is on YouTube in the description, as well as on the post on Facebook. If you are a Tonebase user, you can simply click the join discussion thread, and then it will bring you to the to this wonderful page here. And here you can find the scores by clicking on download Rene Izquierdo's warm-up routine right here. So awesome, cool. So excited for this one.
So let's start, like, dive right into it. So one of the things that you will observe when you look at the pages is that I try to alternate a little bit the level of difficulty of things as well as the usage of the hands. I will have something, for example, the first exercise is right hand tone exercises, where I will go through it now, and then I will do something like left hand related, then right hand arpeggios, then left hand walking vertical exercises, right hand tremolo, left hand opposite motion, adjacent string crossing, then I will do slurs. So pretty much trying not to get your hand absolutely tired. I remember, I think one of the first masterclass I ever observed, oh my God, I'm trying to remember his name, Canadian guitarist, Eli Kastner, who passed away not too long ago. Eli Kastner had, in a masterclass, he was talking about precisely about warming up, and he suggested that perhaps doing a shorter warm-up at the beginning of your section, so you get used to be able to engage and get ready in a short amount of time, and do the heavier part of your technique at the end of your practice section, which I found that very unusual. It's like, well, how good is that going to be at the end of the practice section? And I realized that when you do that, also it carries away some of that to the next day practice, you know? So it helps. It helps. One thing, do not do these exercises sitting in 1 full hour straight without, you know, or half an hour, whatever you have, without taking breaks. Do small sessions, 5-10 minutes, as high as 20, and then stop and take breaks in between. I usually find that when I do a good warm-up routine in the morning, I do not have to do a lot the rest of the day. You know, it kind of gets me acquainted. And then, of course, you play a little bit if you're completely, even if you practice in the morning and then you practice in the evening, of course
it gets kind of lost. The contact gets lost.
Yeah.
But like that, it's nice to have also like as a morning routine. You know, to do a short warming up exercise and then frame your day, starting up with a warming up exercise and continuing to play piece by piece throughout the day. So
I remember David Rosso saying that he will drink coffee while he's doing left hand slurs. You know. In the morning, so like just you getting all busy meanwhile, you know.
Nice. I read the autobiography by Arthur Rubinstein, and he's always eating chocolate and reading a book while playing scales with one hand.
Multitasking. Yes. All right. So first exercise is right hand tone exercise. What I'm trying to do every day, kind of get a feel of the length of the nail, get a feel of my contact point, very important, and of course the tone quality. So I will do these exercises in which I'll start in 12th fret. See, I have, I didn't put a specific left hand exercises because this can be done in open strings or can be closed, but just for the sake of this, I will do from the 12th fret, then 11th, and then move one at a time, and I will interject each one of them with an open string. Why? Because the open strings in guitar tend to be a lot brighter. And this is also a way of practicing how to match. It would be very often that you see someone playing and then when they play open strings, it's very obvious. They jump out of context. So we don't have to talk about position, but I have mentioned many times before, after you find out home, what feels more comfortable for you, high and everything else, angle, then I will do just finger independence tone without coordination in between them, just repeated fingers. So A finger, so on, all the way to the first position. Then I will do second string, all A finger, then third string. Okay, that was free stroke. Then I will do the same thing, rest stroke. I'm done with that. By the way, sometimes I do it only on the first 3 strings because depending on your nails, when you're playing a lot in the basses, you can wear them out because of the wound basses. But it is important, having said that, it's very important also that you practice it on the basses, because the basses tend to have this scratchy sound because of the angle of attack that you're using. So you need to adapt that so it doesn't, you don't get, but rather clean tone. But attacking, depending on your nail shape, from the center or even to the right side of the nail in the A finger, in my case, versus this. See, you get all this. You have more nail contact. You get more nail contact, but at the same time, you're getting a lot more noise. I remember mentioning this before in a masterclass that I had with Seymour Bernstein in New York, as the Yale School of Music guitar department in Ben Berdrick brought us to New York City to have a masterclass with him. And I remember playing Turina Sonata. And in Turina Sonata, all that section in there, and he was like, what is all that noise? I was like, what noise? Yes, don't you hear that noise? And the thing is, I realized that it took me a while to understand what noise he was referring to, but then after I realized that, wow, that's true. We have kind of, by default, assumed that that's going to be the way we're going to sound in the basses. Yes. But none other instrument deals with that, of assimilating noise. Yeah. Well, I guess we all do to some degree, but it's minimal in the result. Like if you listen to a clarinetist playing, you hear the keys, yes. But that's not very audible in the sound production, because the sound overpowers that. However, in the guitar, it's very intrinsically related. So I will do this also on the basses. So make sure that I understand my angle of attack on first, how it changes from first, second, third. I move from fourth, more perpendicular, fifth, sixth. Now, this is my way of approaching. Doesn't make any other way wrong or right. This is just my way in which I do it, because I try to relate tone and tension. When I'm playing on first string here, and if I'm playing with a fixed position on my forearm, it changed quite a lot, the consistency of the tension of the string, and therefore the tone. So I moved more the Romero school approach, which is in a diagonal all the way back. But you will find very good older players that actually they keep fixed position and they move up and they just change the angle of attack, and it works for them. Also the angle of the wrist to compensate for that. Example, Marco Tamayo. He swears by not moving and keeping a fixed position here, and it works wonderful for him. You need to find what works for you. The important thing about these tone exercises is to develop the contact point, to make sure that you understand engaging and follow through, and relaxation if need be, in between the strokes, and as well as volume, because we tend to play usually, when we do technique, kind of mezzo forte, or even mezzo piano at some point, and there's a gap. There's a big gap that occurs when you're playing on a piece and you need to play fortissimo, and you didn't warm up as such to be prepared for that. So then you will make up that difference with tension. So I will actually purposely try to do these single tone exercises as loud as I possibly can before the breaking point of the instrument. And more importantly, feeling completely relaxed. So I understand what needs to happen to get the sound, the way you're plucking, which we're not going to get into that now because we need to focus on warm up today. So then after I do rest stroke, then I will do the same with M finger. Then I'll do rest stroke, I finger, free stroke, then rest stroke. And watch that I try to have the tone in between all three fingers playing in different parts of the string equal. So you could not, it's hard for you to tell if you're playing with the M or the A or the I. It's important that you understand that, because if you're trying to play in only one contact point and then you rotate the hand to play in that contact point, you're going to create a lot of movement on the hand. Therefore, the strings all play in different places and they need to be filed slightly different depending where the point of contact occurs. So after I do all of that, then I do 2 strokes per string. I do rest and free in the same note. And what I'm looking for that is also what is the angle of attack, how it changes in between 1, rest, and then the same note, free. Because I used to have very weak free stroke, when I would play free stroke weak. And then when I was playing rest stroke, the difference was so significant, and I was trying to close the gap in between both of them. So by doing this exercise, I started experimenting how my finger needs to move without creating tension, to kind of close that gap. It will never be the same rest stroke from free stroke, but it's important to close it. Rest, free, rest, free, rest, and then I will do the same exercise. And there are different elements there that I have spoken before on the previous tone bass. Is like how much, how do you call that? Bending on your joint, on the joint when you're doing rest stroke, free stroke. Because if you are actually playing a rest stroke without bending the joint, then your knuckle will be farther back to play straight. And then therefore the difference between wrist and rest stroke and free stroke would be much. Well. I know.
I had a live stream on like rest stroke demystified, like rest stroke live stream for beginners, and always fresh stroke and.
So bear with me. Bear with me. So I will try to do both rest stroke, free stroke, 2 notes adjacent to each other, and then I will see how much I need to bend to be able to play with the knuckle in position. So I can play without too much alteration. When you're doing by itself the rest stroke, you can also experiment with that. Playing with the knuckle farther back, playing all the way here, and then playing a little bit more above the string and bending the joint. Then you will do the same with M. Rest, free, rest, free. Open string. And again, at least the first 3 strings. Then I finger, rest, free, rest, free. Pretty clear. After I actually work in each one of the fingers individual, then I do this pattern of 5, group of 5, which I actually wrote in there. So adjacent strings, adjacent fingers. So A, M, I, M, A, and then you won't repeat. So group of 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, M, I, M, A, then M, I, M, A, M, I, M, A, M, I, M, A, M, I, M, and then go back to the beginning of the cycle. So it will be A, M, I, M, A, change, M, I, M, I, M, A. So I work forward, tremolo direction, counterclockwise, and then clockwise, both ways. So A, M, I, M, A. So what I'm trying to address with that warm-up, besides the contact point, volume that we talk, how much engagement on the joint, angle of attack, also I'm looking at consistency in the movement, consistency on the tone, and obviously not favoring any particular finger, because usually you will have, you would like to start your scale with I finger, because it gives you the trigger. It's faster for you. M finger is generally the slowest returning one. One would tend to think that the A finger will be the slowest, but it's actually the M, in my case at least, because also maybe it's related that the finger is longer as well.
Could be.
So,
how do you say? Don't know the English word.
The extensor. Yeah. The extensor that returns the finger doesn't necessarily bring it quick enough. So I'm trying to develop so I don't favor any finger in particular. And eventually, what you need to do this exercise, and you see how my thumb is in the adjacent string on the second string. If I'm playing this stroke, obviously I will move it back. And then I will do the same exercise rest stroke. I will also recommend to do this exercise while changing the thumb. Why is that? Because the angle, when you are changing the thumb towards, extending it to the sixth string, the reference and the angle creates a little bit of tension towards the eye finger, and the eye finger tends to be pulled in with the thumb to the lower strings, and you want to maintain the alignment on the first. So when you're doing this, you actually get them used to stay. And you obviously can speed it up eventually, but the speed is not necessarily the goal immediate here, but rather tone and consistency. That's much more important. So that's about the first exercise that I'll do. If I feel that my right hand is a little bit still not feeling great, I will jump to another warm-up routine, which I don't know if I put them here. Oh, I skipped this one, which is right hand exercise warm-up, groups of 4, 3, 2, and 1 in string crossing. So I will do one.
I've seen that somewhere. Is it the adjacent string crossing by Grisha?
No.
No, it was different. Sorry.
Different.
So, you played something different.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So here. So I will do I and M. If I still feel that my hand is not, by the way, I haven't played guitar today, I haven't warmed up, and I feel my fingers still, kind of sleepy. So I will do I and I 4 times. See how I'm traveling with my thumb? Mm-hmm. Another way is to go with the thumb to 6 and then keep it on 6 and then maintain it on 6 the rest of the time, to get practicing on that. I'm gonna keep it on 6, and then 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1. So you see, my movement is still not great, so I will just practice that until I feel. Okay? Then wonderful. I will do the same thing backwards. M and I to cross with the awkward crossing M. Same. And 2, 1. And then sometimes I will do just on the one stroke, and I will repeat the first string again, so I will switch the order. So for example, I am, 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 I am. Play it again. Now you're with the I
see.
And because one of the difficulties on the right hand is not only string crossings and repeated chords, but it's also the displacement. Yeah. That's why, for example, when you have all these type of movements, always feels very awkward because we are trying to stay static. And when you have continuous movement like that, in which this exercise recreates, it gives you a sense of instability because you don't do that a lot. So having that as part of the warm-up routine actually helps me quite a lot. So M and A and M, I and A and I. Okay? By the way, on the tone exercises, I forgot to mention also the thumb. I will do the same thing with the thumb. Okay? Great. Rest stroke, free stroke, etc., etc. Then after that, I start thinking of left hand walking, horizontal exercises. And in this case, I try to use second string, which I think I mentioned, second string, 9th fret and 9th position. And I will move all kind of combinations, I and M, M and I, M and A and M, I and A and I, P and I, P and M, P and A M I, MIP, etc. You can go crazy in that. So, and then I will go first finger, then second finger. Oh.
Nice. Gabriel Bianco style.
Actually, that's old. That's not. I mean, Narciso Yepes used to do that a lot, for example.
Wow, I didn't know
And
that.
this came from the 19th century.
There was no YouTube around.
Regondi.
Yes.
Then 4-finger. Pay attention that I'm not doing.
Yes, you're not like jaggering up and down.
I'm trying to move continuous and then synchronize on the right hand to the movement. Then I will do the same idea now with 2 fingers. By the way, if this is a little bit too difficult, you can do it adjacent fret.
It's great. We've talked about this in another live stream.
Yes.
That usually when we do left hand exercises, we only tend to work vertically, but not horizontally. And I think these are great exercises, because all the exercises where I think sheds light on something that has been neglected for a while is great, and gets you connected in a new way with the instrument. Or at least that's always in my case. If I find something where I think, oh damn, yeah, we do this movement all the time, yet
In the plane, and it's not in the books.
It's in plain sight, but it's not in the books.
In the
So
technique
interesting.
books, you will find all kind of vertical exercises, but we
Yes.
don't find as many in horizontal, unless they're practicing shifting. So then I'll do the exercises 2-1. Then I will do 3-2, same idea. Then 4-3. Then 3 fingers. And the challenging here is not to sound in groups of 3. You don't want to do that. You want to sound continuous. Then I will do other patterns, like 4-2-1, etc. Back up, then 4-3-1. Then I will do 4-3-2. Again, as I mentioned, you can do fret by fret if you want, or you can do like a chromatic scale. So you work on shifting as well.
Wonderful.
And then 4-3-2-1. And change all possible fingers on the top that I mentioned. It will help you.
Awesome.
At least if you don't have a lot of time, do a little bit of M&A, I&N, I&A, because you're working all of the fingers, if not necessarily M&A in independence, but it will help you.
Awesome.
Then
I have a question about the shifting exercise.
Yes.
When you do adjacent strings, do you feel like shifting, or do you feel like compressing and
when
going
you
back?
do an adjacent string, you are compressing and going. It's just weight transferring one at a time. Here now,
Yes.
you keep one, and then
Awesome.
so you're just relaxing, bring it in, and then set up the next position. But that's why I don't necessarily only do that one, because I want them to actually shift and release the thumb. Like when you're doing or 3-2.
Then the thumb comes back into place.
Exactly. So
Awesome.
again, it's depending of where you are at technically. Like one will help you more than the other one. Remember, the warm-up shouldn't be incredibly challenging, because if it's too challenging and it gets you tired, then it defeats the purpose of warming you up. Then it's
True.
crossing the
That's
line to the other
Yes.
part. Then it becomes an exercise. You know.
Do you do these exercises like consciously doing like rest stroke or free stroke?
I will do both. But well, the
Depends
truth
on the
is,
time, probably.
depending on the time. Like the truth is, for example, Cuban guitar school is very heavy in rest stroke, but 90% of what we play is free stroke. I would say, informal chords or arpeggio. So I feel that I have less need of working on my rest stroke than I have to work on my free stroke. So with that saying, in my own playing, I find in my warm-up that I favorite free stroke because that's the one that I control the least and it's used the most. So I use it in my case, but I will suggest both. You can even do one set rest stroke, one set free stroke, alternate.
Oh,
Rest,
awesome.
free, rest, free, rest. And then you get idea of alternating and cutting the time in frame that you need to do all these exercises.
True.
You know, then I will do this exercise of synchronization, which is kind of based from the same idea of the pumping nylon, but in one single string. And I think Artyom does something like this too, at least in
I think I saw something about that, yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And then why I do this one, because in here it's 3-note pattern, you know, one open, one, and then I can do 3-note, like, so I can keep working in my tremolo / alignment / contact point, all of the above. So I will do AMI and PMI. So I can eventually work in all four. So I will do. So awesome. Ascending, descending, one, open one, everything is written there. Open one, open 2, open 3, open 4, then backwards. 1, open 1, 2, open 2, 3, 0, 3, 4, 4. So. Then I will do PMI. You get the idea. Synchronizing, again, I know the faster you're able to do, the more synchronized you will be. But careful, do not try to play fast and then be overly tense everywhere. The speed will create certain amount of tension, but just minimal to get the task done. Okay, so that's
this
pretty
was,
much
this exercise now.
Yes.
Awesome.
Etc.
Awesome.
Then I will go to right hand arpeggios. In there you can go to, I mentioned 2 books actually, and one exercise that I do with Villalobos Etude. Carlevar book 2 is all right hand, from arpeggio to repeated chords. So I will suggest you look at that. Then it has all kind of combinations, all 12, starting with the A finger, 4 starting with M, 4 starting with I. I don't think I need to walk all of you guys through all of these exercises because of time constraint, but I will do one set because first, the first set of 12 is just only with one thumb on the bass. Then after that, it changes to thumb 8th note, then thumb dotted. So you will have 2. Then you will have dotted note, and then the opposite, 16 dotted 8th on the thumb, which it creates a different coordination. The Boudonis is a Greek, Evangelos Boudonis. Did this 10 volume technique. This is his right hand one is volume number 3, and pretty much is bass and shift on. He does it in group on 4, on then E major, and then he changed the group. Oh, sorry. Boy. Yeah. So he does an E major, patterns of adjacent strings. So PIMA. Then he starts changing the order, starting with thumb. And depending on how much time I have, which generally is not a lot, I will do one set of exercises, but I will also change the thumb. I could. So I get practicing also displacing thumb as well as I'm doing. And when you go through, there are, I think, 3 pages of arpeggios of one group. When you do one of them through, even if you do each one of them twice, it will actually serve you well. If I do only one, because he changed, starting with thumb, then starting with I patterns, then starting with M pattern, then starting with A patterns. And then he starts with simultaneous 3 against 1, then PMA against I, and all kind of different combinations that are very useful. I find that book to be very good. And then about Villalobos, Etude 1, generally every time I share the stage and the green room with a great guitarist, 90% of them I see them warm up with Villalobos 1 arpeggio etude.
Probably.
I see them. So the idea behind that, I mean, I actually do it as a warm-up. I don't even play the entire etude. You can even relax your left hand and just do right hand and mute. For the sake of clarity of the attack, I'm gonna mute the open strings. And then you're gonna do different accents. So there are different things that you're gonna do. You're gonna play the arpeggio as written, then change the formula. You're gonna do PI as written, then you're gonna do PI, 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 and M on the first string. And you bring the thumb all the way to the third string. And then you're gonna bring the I all the way to the first string and thumb all the way to second. And you can do that same formula with P and M and P and A. So you see, we have the regular formula, taking the M to the first string, taking the I. M now instead of the I, A. And that way you cover a lot of movement as well as all of the fingers. And then I think also Artyom mentions that, and this is something I heard the first time Grisha Goryachev doing, which they take the Villalobos etude and then they just accent different fingers. So thumb, 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 then I, then M, A, which is on the string. And then you can do that in all the sets of variations, bringing the M finger to the first string and then the I finger to the first string, if you want. Again, you know, all of this will take time. So I will recommend you to do a little bit of different grouping of sets that you actually will exchange. And like today, I'm gonna do this one from arpeggio, this one, that, and then tomorrow I will do the second one from the first exercise, you know, and then because it's many implications in each one of them. So you don't have to sit down and do it all at once. You just walk through that and arrange it along the week as you please.
Wonderful, awesome.
So,
great. I didn't know that the E major thing was by Budonis.
It's not from Budonis. That's all. But he uses this progression in E major for going through his arpeggio exercises, like vertical, not only just in position.
Because this is the harmony and arpeggio that you hear in Düsseldorf at the university with Joaquin where we are studying all the time. Like
in Cuba, we did that. And you know,
it's like you enter the high school, and because the guitarists usually don't need a room to practice somewhere, we practice in the hall. Of course, we practice in the hall because why would we need a room? And you always hear E major arpeggios.
That's how I learned my E major arpeggio pattern, and I never knew about Budonis back then.
Yeah,
this has nothing to do. It's probably in SOAR and like. Yeah. It's definitely used widely in Cuban guitar school. I tell you that much. Then the next thing I would go after doing right hand arpeggio, it would be left hand walking vertical exercises. So what do I mean by that? So pretty much open one, open 2. By the way, you can do all the way to 7th fret and back. We just don't have the time. Open 3. Open 4. This gives you a measurement of with the string and placement. It's kind of like a calibrating the left hand. Then I will do 1 and 2. Excuse me. I will do descending right away. So I wouldn't do a whole pattern of ascending and then a whole pattern of descending. I'll do 1 and then the other one. For example, I just did 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I will do 1 open and do descending. 2 open, then 3. As a way of mixing it up, because I know you can do all of the ascending and then all of the descending after, but rarely you will find in one piece a whole set of only one type of effect or skill.
True.
It's always mixed, so it's important. I remember reading this in I just don't remember, it was Time magazine or what it was, talking about baseball. How to train the eye of the person that is batting. Like, it doesn't matter how fast the pitcher is. If you're always throwing fastballs, only fastballs, right to the center, eventually they could time you and hit it. But it's precisely when you create changes and you do fastball, then slider, then, and start like changing the pitches that will create variety, and that's actually what you will encounter more in the real game. Now, having said that, it doesn't hurt to do, for example, just hitting fastballs for a while, then hitting on sliders only for a while, so you recognize it before you start switching them around. So depending on what stage are you on your guitar playing, you can do a whole set of each one of them and then start mixing them around. So you can do all ascending, like I did 1 open, 2, open 3, open 4, then 1, 2, and then I move, etc. Then I will do 2, 3, 3, 4, then after that you go in groups of, where are you? 3, 4. Then another, those were adjacent fingers, the non-adjacents. 1, 3. Then 2, 4. 1, 4. And then I didn't mention it there just because we only can do so many exercises in one page. I will do to 3 fingers. So ascending. Then 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. See, I'm feeling that I'm a little rusty there. So I need to practice 2 and 3. That's what I mean about awareness. If I do a little bit of 2 and 3 more, and 3 and 4, then I will be all set with this. Then I will do eventually 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you do all of that descending. The same thing. 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 4, 2, 1. 4, 3, 2. 4, 3, 1. 4, 3, 2. And then 4, 3, 2. And also you hit all the combinations with groups of 2, of 1, groups of 2, groups of 3, and then eventually 4, and then 5 with open string, which makes your chromatic scale. Then that's one. Oh, right hand tremolo exercises. That's depending if you need to play tremolo. Tremolo is always helpful for creating the alignment and checking. I will do in one single string, and then I will do switching strings. You can do, for example, when you're playing, you're playing primordially on the first string, which is a different kind of movement altogether than when you're doing, which it needs to be a lot more control when you're doing tremolo on the second string. because you have the adjacent strings that you don't want to be hitting, and your movement cannot be so broad. So what I would do, sometimes I use it in one piece, for example, and then do patterns of P, A, M, A, then P, M, A, M, then P, M, I, M, I, M, I, A, A, and then the whole thing. So I will do it in one single string. Oh, it's very loud all of a sudden.
Oh, I'm sorry. This sounds like a helicopter outside of my place.
Okay.
It doesn't happen so often. But my window is open because suddenly it got warm in Germany. Yay!
Yeah. Good. No, it's okay.
Usually we are like brothers in cold. René and me, Milwaukee and Germany isn't the best weather.
Now it's great, actually.
Now it's here as well.
So
Good.
then I mentioned in there right hand tremolo exercises. There's also a book in Budonis, book 10, book 9, excuse me, that talks about synchronization, chromatic scales, and also tremolo at the end. And he has this exercise that is, I applied the same pattern of AMA, MAM, IMA, all combinations, but he does on all string crossings. So he will do then one string apart. I mean adjacent string, sorry. Then one string in between, like 6, 4, 5, 3, etc. Then two strings apart. Then 3 strings apart. And then eventually when you get to first string, then you're gonna be moving the thumb. And then keeping the thumb in 6. And then he changed from 5th string down, from 4th, from 3rd. Then going back to 1st string, then going back to 2nd. 3rd, until you get all combinations. And I will do that with AMA, MAM, IMA, MIM, IAI, AIA. And it usually feels fairly good after that from my right hand.
Cool.
So, then we go a little bit more difficult. And again, you take it with a grain of salt, depending on how much. When we go to left hand opposing motion. In left hand opposing motion, you can look at Carlevaro, pumping nylon, simple exercise that Scott has, which is very good, very effective. Then skipping strings, then fifth, and so on. You all know that exercise, opposing motion. Then I would recommend also the Budonis book. This book has actually, the number 1 has a lot of vertical exercises. So he will have a pattern in which he combines this finger, calibrating on the left hand, but also with movement in groups of 3. That's 1, 2, 3, then 1, 2, 4. One, 3, 4. Okay, so all those combinations were starting with 1. Now you do the same thing starting with 2. 2, 1, 3. Let me do it slow so everybody can watch. See there? Now, what you're gonna watch is like you are not releasing every time, but you're keeping the 3rd finger while you're moving 1 and holding the 2nd finger. And then when you move in the 2nd finger, you don't release 1 and 3. It's pretty much independence. See, creating this distance, which is usually create tension. And then keeping the 3rd finger, moving the 2nd. That's 2, 1, 3. Then 2, 1, 4. 2, 3, 4.
I think I know what I'm going to give my students for the vacations which are coming up.
Yeah. Actually, this
a lot
book,
of great exercises.
this book one is very, very good. If anything, I'll recommend this one. Probably the most for left hand.
Awesome.
Then pattern starting with 3. Sorry, you were gonna say?
Yeah, commenter was just writing that it might be out of print, which would be kind of sad, but maybe we can find another source how to find the book.
Is it out of print?
I don't know. It's just someone was Debbie was writing that in the chat. So
okay, so well,
I hope
I
not.
tell you this: if there's more after this workshop, if there's enough demand, they will print it. And if it's not, I bought them directly from Greece. So 3, 1, 4. 3, 2, 4. Then 4, all pattern 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 4, 2, 3. I'm not gonna do them all because I want to show you more than one exercise from this book, which is very good. In particular, is the one that I like. Exercise number 2 is going through the strings and then changing the inner strings in the pattern 1 and 2. Third, second, third, fourth, fifth. Then 1, 3. I like these exercises. I do this often from warming up.
It looks crazy. I have no idea what you're doing there.
Okay, so I'm going 6 string, 1 and 2 always. 1, 2, F, and B. Then first string 1 and 2, then B flat, F sharp. Then I do that same pattern on 4th string. 2, 1, 2.
Now I get it. What you're changing the inner strings. Now I get it. Awesome.
Yes.
Great.
Then I do with all the fingers. Then I will do 2 and 3, which is a little difficult. But you see, for example, I was feeling before my 2 and 3 that were kind of slow and I needed to work on it. I do this a couple more times and they are ready.
Awesome.
Then 2 and 4. Then 3 and 4. Okay, then number 3, exercise number 3 is pretty also brutal for synchronization. So it doesn't matter what you do on the first string, and on the scale you will do PI because you're gonna move all the way to 6th string. So 4, 3, 4, 2, 4, 3, 4. And now the first string follows. Then 1, first string stay on 6th string. One, and again, and then the same pattern with 2. 2, 4, 3, 4, 1, 4, 3, 4. Ooh. Same principle. Second thing goes to the 6th string, this goes up, and then second follows. The same with 3. Then follows. The 3 goes all the way to the 6th string. This one's come down, then it follows back down. Then the 4.
Awesome.
So that's, and then number.
We have one question like directly about the section of.
Yes, go ahead.
About exercises, which is also was one of the questions that I wrote down as well. So a lot of these questions look like warm up, and some of these look like more technique. How do you separate like warming up and technique, and how do you organize them for time efficiency?
For example, I would do this in my daily one more routine, and if I need to play in a concert and I don't want to get too tired, I will do one or two from this book, which I will show you now. Actually, one. I do one in particular. So after that goes to volume 5, in which goes has I don't know how many formulas in there. It's this one. So
That looks brutal.
So same principle is 3-1, second finger, then 4-2, 3-2-3, 3-4. And if I don't have a lot of times, I could do it in first position, then in fifth, then in eighth, because the width of the guitar of the neck changes. And that's a way of calibrating also, not only in first position. Then I will do this one. This one I do almost all the time, number 9. So it's 2-1 simultaneously, 3, then 1-2. 2-1, 1-2, and now keep 3-2 down, put 4 finger, and then 2-3. Bring 4 finger.
Nice.
You do this a little bit, and you go crazy. I think Artyom also has a different set of something like that he does on his warm-up thing. It's about the same principle.
Yeah.
Then this is one that I do all the time, because I can do thumb at the same time that I'm working, and I do AMI, so I work all fingers. So it will be this, 1 and 2. So 1 and 2 simultaneously, F and B, and then C, and then F sharp, B flat, and G on the bass. And then you do that same thing, changing strings. And then the right hand I will do AMI with thumb. Then 1 to 4, and you see how this is going. The same principle. Then 1 and 3. And watch this. That's something I didn't spoke before, but I should have. It's like I'm not doing necessarily only with the fingers. I'm using also my forearm to help.
Awesome.
To create a little bit of motion. Otherwise, you're gonna get very tired just doing this. And it's true. Some of these feel like exercises to improve technique versus just warm up. But I will use this one as a way of getting opposite motion, and my fingers feel immediately, only with this exercise, immediately good, because after I do all patterns with 2-1, then 2-4, then 2-3, then you do all with 3, then 1-4, no, sorry. And then 3-4, and then the same with 4. Okay, that one I like. Another one I used to do a lot, which I haven't in a while now, but it's very useful, is just planting 2 and 1, and then do this. So 4-3, holding the finger 3, meanwhile you're moving the other one. Opposing motion with the with the fixture. If first position feels uncomfortable, you can do it in position and get a little bit less easier for your left hand.
There was one question by Debbie, which is referring to something that you just said. If something feels very uncomfortable, like for example changing between the first and the sixth string, I think it's okay just to move a little bit more towards your comfort zone, because it's for warming up.
It's for warming up, exactly. And some people, depending on your hand size and guitar size and neck size, you won't be able to reach that. Then just do it as far as the fifth string. But eventually you want to have this, because at some point you will have this kind of situation in the piece, and in which you won't necessarily have a finger in to substitute that kind of motion. You will avoid it as much as you can, but we cannot avoid it all the time. So using the forearm to help you reach the forefinger is short, so you need to get it closer to the sixth string by bringing the position, the alignment of the knuckles closer, Then this exercise I do 4-3, I do 3-4, as well. And then this will take, you can do all kind 4-2, 3-1 combination with a fixed position. Then adjacent string crossing. That's the Grisha exercise. C major. You can do open strings. You don't have to worry about that. And just for the sake of you hearing the different sounds, I'm going to play it with the third. So I will do I and M. This is adjacent string crossings. 4 times and 4 times. You see those numbers? First string 4 times, second string 4 times. They are aligned in a column.
I see.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then 4 and 3. I will do this without stopping, but Start with I, the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. And now it's M because of the odd number. M, I, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1. Then you do 4 and 2, starting with I. Then 4 and 1. Then after that, the second column is the same thing but inverted. Now you're taking notes from the first string. So you do 3 times on the first string and 4 on the second. 2 times on the first string and 4 on the second, and so on, 1 and 4. So 3 and 4. Then 2 and 4. 1 and 4. Then all of that was I and M, then you do M and I. M and A and M, I and A and I. If you have very little time, I will do this. And then I will do this. And then maybe this one. And yes, the thing is, when in your everyday routine, you need to have some technical things that will challenge your hand ability to do some things. It's not necessarily only for warming up, solely.
I see.
You're going to have a little bit of challenge as well. It cannot be just enough to warm up, but enough just to give, and then you feel how much of that you can do after you get acquainted with that. And besides, it feels difficult at the beginning, but when you do it, it becomes familiar like anything else. I mean, it wouldn't be as easy as playing open strings on the right hand, but it will get better considerably, I will say, actually.
Awesome. I think this is of course what happens when we are stretching as well. Of course we are like stretching further than we usually need to move, but this is just like to expanding our range of motion. So very, very, very awesome stuff. We already have a couple of questions to to put it on the small side, but we also have some more exercises.
Let me just go through it. It won't be too long. So the slurs, Calevaro book 4 is all about slurs, all vertical ones. So adjacent fingers, then non-adjacent fingers. 2 and 4, 1 and 4. Watch how we, and generally in all techniques, for example, in this book by Calevaro, does not address hammer on 1. It starts from 1 to 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, and first finger always feels awkward. So I would suggest always to do also ascending and descending on the first finger, not only on the 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, but also open 1. And of course descending. And this is what we were talking about, like this book, plus even pumping nylon, where he suggests if you have very little time, do ascending, descending in groups of 3. That's true, that helps a lot. But I will also add, which I put in here, the Budonis book 9. No, excuse me, that's synchronization. Budonis book 4, which is exercises slur, but also horizontal, not only vertical. Then back, 2 and 3, 3, 4, 1, 3, non-adjacent, 2 and 4, and then he does all kind of combinations of ascending, descending, and then he start going vertical as well, not only horizontal. So he does a combination of a lot of them horizontal at the beginning, and this actually, this book 4, I actually find it very helpful for me. Slurs are an issue, and also one of the things that you are not finding a lot when you do slurs exercises is there's something that you will find very often, for example, in Rodrigo, in which you need to repeat, bring the fingers back. So practice like a trio, doing this only. Then 1 and 2, 1, 3, that will help. 2 and 3, 2 and 4, 3 and 4, because when you're doing this, for example, here, see, bringing the third finger back, it hinders the movement of the 4. The thing, because then when you put the third finger, that brings the fourth finger close, and then you don't have enough of that momentum. So using a little bit of the hand, returning that finger. So. Then here. See, slur down and then shifting. So it's a combination of doing vertical and horizontal as well. So that's why I like that book, the volume 4 for the slurs. Then volume 5 is a stretching, which I can just look really quick. Well, it says synchronization, pumping nylon. You all know that exercise. And so on. That one I like, usually in all kind of combination. And then Budonics book 9 has this, where are you? Here. Whole chromatic scale synchronization exercises in which you do not only this one, then descending, then also you have groups of 3. What is it, 4 or 3? Where are you? Yes, this is the second one. Here, 4 notes. Then you can continue all the way up, descending too. I like that one. Also, depending on how I feel, I will do a little bit of a speed burst. I talked about that before, but this is warm up. I don't gonna get into too deep into this, in which I will do reflexive speed, I and M, then I do 2 strokes and plant the third finger, the third note. If I do it I am I, then I plant I. After I feel comfortable with that, 3 notes. You can create any exercise you want with that. And then after I do 3, I plant the M. Until I feel comfortable, and so on. I add 1 note at a time. That's also a good synchronization exercise, as well as this one that I did at the beginning. It's good for stamina and synchronization, the same thing. So wonderful. That will work. The right hand Budoni's exercise, book 10, he called it tenutus. It's actually quite good. I don't know if you can see it here. See that it's only one single line. So then combinations in one line, in one string. For example, I am, MI, MA, AM, INA, ANI. Then number 2, 3 notes pattern. IMA, IAM, MIA, MAI, AIM, then AMI. Then 4 note pattern. Then he goes from 4, then quintuplets, then sextuplets. And then he does 2 strings pattern. INM, MNI, same order, you know, according to combinations, all possible combinations. Then 3 notes. IMA, IAM, MIA, MAI, AIM, AMI, and so on. Then it started with the I, goes from 3 notes to 4 note pattern to quintuplets to sextuplets, and then to simultaneous notes, because now you can play chords. So he will do in the exercise 5, he will do IM, A, AIM, AMI, IAM, IMA, sorry, IA, and then M separate. M separate, IA together. And then he goes to patterns PIMA in one string. So PI, PM, PA, PI, PM, PA. Then start groups of 3, PIM, PMI, PMA, PAM, PIA, PAI. Then groups of 4, 5. I'm not going to go through all of that with you. And then he starts with the thumb in 2 strings. PIMA in 2 strings. PI, PM, PA, then PIM, PMI, PMA, PAM, PIA, PIA, etc., etc. And it goes crazy. Like I can sometimes take only one of them, and then just one of them will be enough to get that sense of feel, and also to relax my left hand from being tired. Only heavy exercise, like being left hand heavy on the warm up. This actually is something that I usually also use in warm up as well.
Nice.
If I don't have a lot of time, because that can relax, and in the right hand is very important for me to find placement, to feel good about it. Then the stretchings is book 5, which is, again, as I said at the beginning, all of you are going to ask the second question, but how long do you actually warm up? I'm referring to having a technique routine that is an hour long if you can, daily. And then when you are working on that daily, then you know what kind of exercises, what set you can do in 5, 10 minutes, 15 minutes before you play that feel beneficial for you. If you never do it and then just do it only before you're going to play, then you're going to find the repercussions of not knowing how the implications of each one of the exercises before you perform. It's better to know them in your regular routine so you know what to use.
Awesome.
So the book number 5 is the stretching, and he does very simple things. Well, there is this famous, I don't even know who wrote this one, but it's a well-known exercise in which you move one finger at a time. And then opposite, major 7, and so on. In Budonis, I like that he has very carefully designed. So, individual, and then back. And he does through all the strings. Then he will do double. No. So 1, 2, 1, 2.
Like continuously, like.
And then continuous. Exact. And then little by little expand this. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Then 2, 3. And then 3, 4. And then moves up. And you move all the way into he says third position. I bring it all the way to first. and I go all the way to sometimes 4 string if I want to, depending on how much time I have. He does it with 1-3, and 1-4, which you can find there also in Scott Tennant's Popping Nylon, and then 2. Just tension in one single string. And then, the amount of exercises that you can go in there is infinite. You can see actually, the extent that he goes. What I would recommend if you have these books, you don't have to do 3 or 4 exercises. One of them will do. And then next day, you can do another set of exercise from that same book on stretching. And like that, you are going through the technique book in a way that you will be able to discern what exercises you like the best, and then you pick your favorites, and then you do a little grouping. So,
awesome.
Left hand shifting, Carlevaro, 2-1, that's book 3. He does patterns of 1 and 2, 2 and 3, 3-4. 1 and 3, 2-4. I'm going fast because you need to read it. There's no point. 1-4, and then you do on all of them in all the strings. There's also there comes an exercise on second string, 2 on the first fret, and then going with 1 shifting. Sorry. Important when you're doing this that you're not trying to maintain control of both ends. One of them has to become automatically, and you're just gonna look in one. Otherwise, it's like looking at a tennis game, and you cannot control either one. So I will only look at the ones that I'm shifting down. Maybe to the octave, and then back, and then you can do 3-2. Again, it's not necessarily the exercise only, but what you need to be focusing in. How am I leading with the elbow? Where's my thumb when I'm shifting? Then 3 and 4, 4 and 3. And then you start doing combinations of 2, 1-2, 1-2. You add 1 fret. You can do 2-1-3. Etc. to 1-4, then you can do 3-2-3, then 3-2-3-4. I skipped one, sorry. And it gets very easy. Also, Budoni's book 2 is shifting, and it has tons of exercises then with intervals as well, which is very useful. It's you won't be able to tackle everything, so it's better just to show a few. Now,
how much books does he have, Budonis?
10.
10. Wow.
And then number one is vertical exercises. Number 2 is shifting. Number 3 is arpeggios. Number 4 slurs. Number 5 is stretching. Number 6 pentatonic scale. Number 7.
Now you needed to look. Ha! I gotcha.
Yes.
Well, I was just sitting.
I don't want to, because I don't use the pentatonic scales, the middle ones, so much. So it's pentatonic scales. I know number 8 is diatonic, major and minor scales. So I use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 9, 10. The 6 and 7 is pentatonics and modes. I remember. Modes. Yeah. Then number 8 scales, which I put is my last point in there. The scales I use Budoni's number 8, but you can use Segovia scales, whatever you want. I will also try to do a set of not only chromatic scales, but just sound scales. In general, you can use scales that you have on your pieces as pattern of creating. Pattern for practicing. Madroños. Oh. And then I will create a pattern.
Awesome.
And then I will practice that. If I want to do a scale, I may as well do a scale. I mean, there's no point with me in doing G major if I'm not going to have that at all.
True.
It's erroneous to say that it's not helpful, But as a warm-up, I'd rather like use something that I will be using in context.
I see.
I'm not saying that doing scales is wrong or necessary. Rather than in the warm-up routine, then I will use scales that I actually will be performing, because then I can do exercises within that, and it will be applicable almost immediately, depending of the program that I'm doing. So, in a nutshell, if I have 5-minute warm-up, I will do this 4-3-2-1 that I mentioned in all the school. Finish with 1. Then I will do Grisha. Then I will do this exercise that I said from Lugonis book. What was it? Book 1, exercise 6. Because then I'm playing thumb with AMI. Then I'm working in all of the fingers already. Then I will do Villalobos. And then slurs. That will do, like a minute each. And then that's it. I don't need to get too tired. For 10 minutes, I will add a little bit of other things, like opposing motion, more of depending of what I feel. Again, getting a sense of what I'm lacking that moment, that very moment. Every day we feel different with the instrument, Your weak points will always be weak, so you know what they are, so you make sure you put them in your warm-up. Slurs is for me, so I warm up with slurs. I know I have to have them there, If scale is an issue, then you do scales, not chromatic scales. I will recommend, if you are doing scales, not to do string crossing right away. Try to synchronize first in one single string. And then after that, start applying string crossing. I did this exercise for developing also the lead finger. There was one student of mine that was having problems with that. So it would be, you're playing I and M on these 2 strings. Actually, I didn't write this exercise there, but I will do just I finger, chromatic scale, and then back. And then when I come back to B open, I will interject the E open in between. And go back to single. So I'm also working on the independence. It will be like an arpeggio pattern like, and then I'll invert it. I'll do a first string M, and then interject the I. And I will always have, if I have a little bit more time than the Villalobos arpeggio, I will do a couple other from Carlevaro, even Budonis. Or if I have 0 time, after I do this, I will do, for example, Giuliani. Or Aguado. Just round arpeggio, just to get things going. Again, yes, in a daily warm-up routine, you're gonna have little things that will actually challenge you in order to improve your skill. In your warm-up, only things that will get you, that you know that you feel like a deficit, and then you need to work. Immediately, if I feel that my 2-3 is not working, then I'll do this or that exercise, and it will immediately get it going. So right. being very in tune to what you're doing and how you're feeling in that moment is very important. So you are not just doing a warm-up routine just because that's what you're used to, but rather a warm-up routine that is going to be directly interjected to the way you're feeling there and what you need to play on the very first 3 pieces, For example, if I'm opening the concert with a Scarlatti, and I need to do that, then I know that I need to, in my scales, I need to do the walking, because that would be very useful immediately. etc., etc. So it has to be very practical from the standpoint of what's your first piece. And second, because after that you're already going to be much more warm and familiar.
Yes, and I think that's one of the most important takeaways, because you presented so much information and stuff and knowledge for us. Of course, you're not going to pack all the exercises into your warm-up, because then you would get to a point where you also would be tired. Of course,
that's what I mentioned at the very beginning. Like,
or the
be
day
careful.
might run out of hours. Could be as well, because there's so much stuff going on.
Now,
I think it's good to have a repertoire that you can choose based on.
And it's based also depending on where are you on your stage. I actually did practice a technique a lot more. Like, let me say it this way. I was like one more guitar in the pile when I was growing up in Cuba. And when I was 17 years old, that I started, like, things in my technique are not working. I mean, I was very musical always. Well, I shouldn't say that. I was musical often, but I couldn't play fast, or I couldn't play scales, and I was having a deficit of that, and I couldn't close the gap. And until I started saying, okay, I cannot keep running away from this for my entire life. I gotta tackle it. And then I started working in technique, and did a serious technique workup every day. And now I'm banking on all that work that I did back then. Wow. Also, what is what have helped me with the familiarity of all of these exercises as well is the fact that the students here requested. On my second year in 2005, I was teaching at UWM, that if I could create a technique class that would meet twice a week, and they will come and kind of level the playing field outside their lesson time. So I rotate all this. I go through Guitar Logos, Isnaola, Pumping Nylon, Budonis, Carlevaro. I have gone a little bit through like the Bible of classical guitar, by Overcapel, but I think it's humongous and massive, way too much of everything. So and you need to understand that sometimes it's just simple exercises that will get you going. It will get the skill. It doesn't have to be hyper complicated. I know what I showed right now doesn't show that, but it is something to keep in mind. Yeah. Then I will do guitar technique rationalized by Byzantine. I just move it around so they don't get bored you in the same thing. And some others, we don't do any
books here as well.
I mentioned a few of them that you can use. I'm living there. Actually, I left out. I'm sorry, Stanley. Stanley Yates did this book of technique that is quite good as well. And again, the books are like so many of them, but they all have the same in different exercises. They approach the same difficulties. So you don't necessarily have to like go through all of them. Just explore them and see what exercises you find best, and then move around. Because I also do I learned from actually tonebase, the exercise of Raphael, which he does the pattern of 1 2 1 3 2 4 for synchronization, and then this one. This is from Fabio Zanon. This 1 and 3, 1 and 2 on the first and third string, 1 and 2, then 3 and 4, then second and 4, then 3, second and 4, moving one finger at a time, and then backwards, 2 1 4 3.
That sounds intriguing. I like it.
It's a very good exercise, very simple, but it gets the job done. I would recommend actually to look at the little series of exercises that Raphael in tonebase mentioned. They are quite good. And I think also Artyom exercises are good. Who else mentioned some? There are so many different things tackled and all different. Yeah. Just need to remember that when you're doing these things, you need to still adapt it to what technical development, because when you see Artyom technique exercises, you're going to be, okay, this is impossible for me to do that at this moment. He mentions, just make it simpler. If you can reach to a sixth string, the opposite motion, make it as high as the fifth, and try to little by little work your way up on opposite motion.
Wonderful. Okay, talking about getting the job done, I think it is time for a wonderful Q&A section. We have a lot of questions coming up over the course of the live stream. We have questions from our Tonebase users, but we also have questions from Facebook and from YouTube as well. I'm going to start with the questions from our Tonebase users here, from Vimeo here. The first one was asked by Debbie quite a while ago, and she's asking as follows. A fellow guitarist suggested to me to tune the guitar to 432 rather than 440 hertz so the left hand doesn't tire so quickly. So that's the question. So what's your thought about that?
I have played in 432 quite often. I like it. I find the guitar is a little bit more mellow. However, if you play in 432 and then you put the strings at 440 for a concert, you're going to find a different response from the strings that do not carry over the same way. As having more tension, the response is different. And if you're using to a slower response because of the lower tuning, it will create a little bit of an issue. I think that you need to create consistency in the practicing and performing. They need to be the same approach. That will work the other way around. Like if you practice in 440 and then you play in 432, the slower response is always easier to adapt than it is to compensate the other way around. So that's why sometimes people will practice with a mute in the strings to hear the attack, and sometimes the mute raises the strings a little bit and it creates slightly more tension. And then when you take the mute, your fingers move a lot faster. Now, be careful with that because when you're practicing always with a mute, then you're not being sensitive to the attack and to the sound that you're producing. You're just listening to rhythm and movement, the nature of the movement. Of course, you listen to some of the musical idea, but it's not the same. So I would say that if you're practicing 432, then play in 432. If you're practicing 440, play in 440. If you're practicing 440 and playing 432, it will be easier than if you practice in 432 and then perform in 440. What you need to do is, Debbie, is to actually take breaks. Then your hand won't get tired. Trust me, it's better. It's better because you're focused more. Our brain is designed, well, I don't know, she's in Germany, you said?
Debbie, I think she's in Bulgaria.
In Bulgaria. Well, if it's anything like the US, you have advertisement, reclama, every 3 minutes to 4 minutes. So it's like you have this attention span that is built into you, which is so short. So it's actually always better to just do a little bit, and when you're losing concentration, stand up, take a break, grab some water, come back and practice. Absolutely.
Oh.
You know.
Okay, next question we have by Gary. Gary is asking, hi René.
Gary from Scotland.
I'm not. It's a Gary
Campbell.
Campbell.
Yeah, he's from Scotland.
You remember? Awesome, nice. Mm-hmm. Hi René, do you also do body warm-ups every day to stay in optimal playing condition, as well as specific hand-like stretches and hand warm-ups?
Yes. I'm sorry I didn't mention that at all. I will do actually stretches, prior playing, just like you, same way you will stretch your body before you run, same here. You will, I will just make sure that I will use different extensions, grabbing from the fingers here, then making it a little harder by grabbing more from the tip. Holding it for 20 seconds, relax, straight arm. When you're doing this, do not bend the wrist, and then in the elbow, then opposite way, face palm. I will do counterclockwise pulling to stretch this cubital nerve here.
I'm doing this with you as well, right?
Yes. And they all work, very well. There are many things that always you have to find out about position, feeling, especially the neck, because the neck affects a lot the shoulder. So for the neck exercises, what I will do the shin in, just pushing the shin in, and then maintain. Sometimes when I'm playing, I force myself to just bring the shoulders back, even though it kind of feels a little weird, the guitar is too much in front. But that helped me to stay relaxed. I will, when I'm playing, sometimes I will purposely raise the shoulder and then lower one at a time. So I'm aware of what's happening, because sometimes when you're playing, oftentimes you will tense up in some difficult passage here or there. And then you need to understand how to relax back without necessarily stop playing and say, okay, wait a minute, let me do this again. You know, you have to do it while it's happening. And then when that's happening, be able to bring back that. Also breathing, being aware of the breathing, practicing with a straw. You put a straw in your mouth and you can realize when you're stopped breathing. And then you do it consciously. Because as a guitarist, we do not think about breathing that much. That's why I mentioned the very first book that I'm mentioning here is the Guitar Ergonomics by Martin Pedreira, which he talks about breathing, how position affects the breathing, and therefore all the other implications that would bring. Because when you're leaning forward, your lungs lose the capacity to expand a full range of motion. And when you don't get enough oxygen in your bloodstream, then your hands will get less oxygen on the bloodstream and will get sweaty, and you start getting more shakes. Also, that gets your head tilted forward, which every inch that you move from the balance position of your head, it doubles the weight. So it means that your trapezius are engaging in keeping the head in position. And more, which it affects the shoulder, which affects the arms and relaxation. So being aware of that, there are so many things actually that goes, and if you don't know exactly where, one question that I was asked once by this guy that Gerald Harsher, he told me, okay, do you know where the spine and the head meets? And we usually, people always will say like the vertebra, like, you know, here behind by the, and it actually, if you put your ears, your fingers in your ears, and you imagine that it's a beam going across the head from finger to finger, the spine will finish right in there. That's the base. That far high up. And then when you do this, and then you move your head, balancing here, you can get this bubble head feeling, you know, that you can experiment with that. Also, another book that I didn't mention because this is about warm-up is Playing with Ease by
David Leisner.
David Leisner, very good book, because it talks about all these, you know, things that we take for granted in the playing, as well as, you know, Bill Canengai's talk that he did with Mircea. I think he did a whole live stream about posture and position. All of that is like right on facts that it will give you a condensed information about that. I mean, Gary is asking that because it's true. Like usually, we tend to focus on those things only when we already have reached some kind of injury or issue. Then all of a sudden we become aware of this. And this is something that needs to be much more embedded into the teaching from the very beginning. Of course, a kid, when you're teaching a 10-year-old kid, he wouldn't understand that. But like as a good teacher, you keep repeating the same thing and correcting the posture until it becomes second nature. Because you cannot ask him to rationalize what you're asking from him, you know?
True.
As an adult, you can, but not as a kid. You know, your in-depth information does not go, and your attention level and your concentration do not allow you to do that. However, when you start getting more advanced, you will think that this will be implemented more into the playing, and it's actually not. It's not mentioned at all. Only the people that talk about these things are people that had injuries.
Yeah. Very interesting.
Which is unfortunate.
Very unfortunate. Yeah, true. Okay, next question. Don has, I think, almost the same question. Hi, Rene. Will you also do warm-up stretches for the whole body, as sometimes we can sit down with a guitar for too long?
Yes. You know, like doing all stretches, even yoga, you know, splitting, like you just, I mean, I have the guitar here, so I cannot show, but like you will do all kind of things. Whatever you would think that you would do for running, for stretching, those are good, especially for the hip, because we are so much, you know, long time sitting. As well as sometimes I roll a towel. I talk about this before. Yep. I do like a brazo gitano in Spanish, which is like dessert that is like elongated like that. You do a towel and roll it, and you put it on your base of your spine, on the lower 3/4 of the way where you sit. So it keeps you engaged and supported from the spine down, rather than collapsing your back.
Nice. I've become like teaching the whole year only in front of the computer, with only the online teaching. I reach a point where I think, damn, I think I'm getting problems with my back, and that's when I started to implement like daily yoga sessions, like having those, like doing this home yoga with the iPad on the floor and the girlfriend next to me and doing all the yoga. But it definitely it helps. I never had problems with my, like I had problems very, very early on. I started to practice like a lot when I was 12, 13, and started and things started to become like problems with the tendons and something like that, tendonitis and so on and so forth. Then I changed the teacher who made me aware of all the issues that I'm having, and since then I was very fortunate not to have been like confronted with these issues. But this year was a crazy one.
you got lucky that you got that instruction early on. That's very rare.
Definitely.
Also, need to be careful when you're doing yoga. Do not do too many poses that create a lot of strain in the wrist.
I don't like the dog.
Like downward dog and all of that. Especially if you're overweight, careful. You know, because you just want to do a stretching. You don't want to necessarily put so much pressure in parts of our body that are important for the playing.
Yes, that's true. Okay, we have another question by Robert. It's actually it's a long question. This is why it's actually two questions, but I'm reading it out as one question. Okay, dear maestro, could you explain which muscles contribute to fretting pressure? Is it realistic for the left hand thumb to be almost completely passive?
Completely passive? No. However, with very little weight in there, like position, pressure, yes. That also depends. What was in Robert? Robert, that depends of your guitar position. If your guitar position tends to be straight like this, then what happens? The weight of your arm comes downwards. When you tilt it slightly, then you can kind of hook into the guitar, meaning that you wouldn't be playing and pressing. That's a very good exercise that I do, but not as a warm-up. But yes, this is not a warm-up related question, but I will answer anyways. So what I will do is I just apply it, put the finger, and then apply it, weight all the way from the elbow, like keeping the hook, see, making sure I not collapse the wrist in, but just keep it in, and then apply pressure until I get sound. You see how easier and how light your thumb on the back will be. Like considerably lighter than what you usually play because you're using weight versus pressure against the thumb. So that's very important. Even sometimes, actually, this is something that I do use for warm-up, in which I will play just presenting the left hand. You know, if I need to run something or do anything, I will do presenting the left hand. And then when you are a little bit on the stress situation, then you just apply the weight that is needed without you having to like get too tired before. So that's something actually I do use, that very light touch while warming up. So it has to do with position, it has to do with angle here, how much curvature to create clearance. If your thumb is low and you have this kind of position, when you can fit almost two fingers in between here, that means that you're going to be pressing more with the palm and exerting a greater pressure with the thumb on the back. That's only used when I shouldn't say that's the only use. In my case, I use that of lowering the thumb when I have to do extension, but then after that I bring it back into center. Why? Because if you put the thumb low and you're on the first string, when you need to move to sixth string, what you will do is you're not going to release the thumb and move up, but rather you're going to keep it down and then you're going to protrude the wrist out, which is very uncomfortable, very unbalanced. However, if you have the thumb center, I can go to first and sixth string, you see, with the thumb center. I can use them both. See the clearance? Clearance. For that, I give the student a Puyolet 1 to set that position. And then a little bit lower for the adjacent three strings. So as also for warm up, if you feel that you're digging a little bit too much, you can do this exercise that Ricardo Gallen does, in which it doesn't allow your thumb to actually anchor. It's doing the scale, let's say A minor or C major, all natural, and play it only with one finger. So you can do it with a fixed thumb on the back, and you can do it moving around, both of them. So with a fixed thumb, but because you're moving, you cannot press in any individual one. You cannot anchor. And then moving. See, and shifting. Here, I'm moving the hand, keeping the wrist in position. And then here, I'm shifting. Then second finger. That will pretty much tell you how much you need to press to stay mobile. Fourth finger. Okay. Then you can create all kind of different things that help you. But most importantly is not to put the thumb completely flat behind. Because when you put, this is the way your hand is constructed. When you actually put the thumb flat, you either have to create a little cup in the palm to be a little bit more frontal here. And what happens is you're going to be more prominent against 1, 2, 3, and the fourth finger will be very weak. And if you're trying to do it in a relaxed fashion, putting the finger flat against the wood on the neck, your hand will like to do this immediately. It wouldn't like to cramp in naturally. So it means if I put it relaxed and it's flat, look at my fingers the way they are, going away from the fingerboard. Now if I put it like this if this is 12, it will be like 11 o'clock, rotating. Or if this is 12, then here, sideways. Just how it falls against the fingers. So here is flat, see how it's getting far away? Then I'm going to the side and immediately brings my fingers in. And I'm not pressing at all with the side. Like almost. Actually, not even in bars. When I'm doing bars, I'm just applying more weight. It doesn't matter. See, light. Light. So you are floating through the guitar rather than anchoring. Because if you're anchoring, then any shift, you need to first undo that to initiate movement. And it's creating an extra step.
True. Interesting. Great. Okay, next question, again by Gary. The question is, do you do different warm-up routines when preparing before a concert or when teaching for the day, or is it the same?
No, different. That's how I open my workshop. And you can move it all around. If I would do the same warm-up routine, then I'm only addressing the same things. If I change it a little bit, I can use the same progression, do right hand, open only right hand, and I will try to keep the alternation between right hand and then left hand exercise, then right hand, then left hand, to maintain that variety, so I'm not getting tired particularly, but I will actually change it, quite a lot. Like I would say, okay, now today I'm going to warm up with pumping nylon, and I will just go pumping nylon and start doing exercises from there. And that way, because it keeps fresh, it's a different set of exercises that allows you also to stay engaged. Because if you're doing the same thing, there's a risk of you not thinking about anything and just like doing it automatically.
And I think this is also one of the main problems when you think about warming up. What I also see with my students, they want to have something that always works. They want to have the recipe.
Well, everyone wants the recipe, and the thing is,
everyone wants the recipe.
If our body would be so predictable, then you know exactly what to do. You wouldn't be listening for this class.
Yes,
it's actually we're feeling different every day, and every day it doesn't matter. Look, just stop playing guitar for a couple of days and grab the instrument back, and you feel like it feels like you never played, and it's like, well, this is very unfair. I've been playing guitar for like almost 40 years of my life, and I don't play for 2 days, and it feels like I lose something. Yeah. It is the nature of it. It's the nature of performing arts. It is a skill that needs to be constantly honed and worked. So it's not, as I said at the very beginning, I also mentioned, like, this is going to be disappointing for some of the people that may be expecting the magic bullet answer that fits all. This is just a series of exercises that you can mix, recognize what you like best, sources of exercises that you can observe and experiment and see what works for you, and then you make your own routine. Part of the thing that I tell the students when I'm doing the technique class is my main goal from this class is that they have enough experience with this method or that other method or this book of technique or that book of technique, so they can draw what they need from that book. Because I'm not expecting them to do the entire book. It's crazy. In class, we go through it. But it's insane if you're thinking that you're going to do that every time.
Yeah, that's true. Awesome. Great. Okay, then I'm switching over to the questions coming from Facebook, because as I already told you, this is a public live stream, which is free for everybody to watch, which is awesome because everybody gets to see our faces. So the first question here is from Anthony Cutieta, and he has a very interesting question. Any warm-ups you recommend for guitarists dealing with tendonitis?
Okay, depending, that's a very open-ended question. I don't know if it's right hand or left hand, or is it both? Because that will differ greatly. Like if you have tendonitis, usually I will assume that it's on the left hand because it's where we have the most action happening, and where you insert the most pressure. So generally, it's much more common to have tendonitis on the left hand. But I have known people that have it on right too. So it depends. If you have tendonitis with the left hand, then I will actually, depending of what fingers patterns triggered the pain on what it bothers you, that will change upon that. If you have problems with the left hand, I will do much more of a right hand heavy warm up, and I will do very basic things like walking. See, this could be easy and light. And you can play almost buzzing, like I said at the before, in which you are not overpressing, you're just presenting. Like if I'm pressing less than this, I will get a buzz. See, so little. Also, when you have tendonitis, try to stay away from extensions right away. I will do things that will be, like if I have 1 and 3, the first and third fret, I will use 1 and 4. Just to make sure that I'm not exerting too much too soon. Again, I need more specifics about what kind of issues are you having in order to be able to answer that correctly. I mean, if there is such thing as a correct answer for that.
He's still there. He's saying left hand forearm area.
Left hand forearm area. Okay, here you go, Anthony. So that could be related to many things. It could be even related to the angle of the guitar neck. If your guitar neck is actually too low, that means that to reach on the forefinger, you will twist further, which creates much more tension in the forearm. So imagine a clarinet player. The two bones on the forearm are like this. When you twist around, you can feel the muscles, how they need to go around the bone, both bones. So what you can do, that was a little bit more specific, but I still have many questions about what is it exactly. Is it on this side of the area that you have problems in the forearm, or is it on this side? In here, there's all kind of issues that will come across with that. But I will consider first lowering the bow of the guitar a little bit. So when I'm looking for the position, you see, this is my forearm. When I turn it around, it will meet the guitar. So the guitar is not far ahead, so when I bring my hand, it's here, relax, and I will have to reach forward, because then that creates tension here, everywhere. Rather, this is my position, then I will bring the guitar here. That's too much angle, then I will adjust. But again, you see, how am I doing? Maintaining the hand position. So it's not stretching farther and away from the body. Also, considering bringing the guitar to the right side, more to the right plectrum, so your hand is much more centered. Give me a second.
He'll be probably back in a second.
No, it's just...
And awesome, the guitar lift. Nice.
Just because I want to show, like, moving the guitar a little bit to the right side. So you get the guitar lift, lower here, and now, and you try it. Like if I do the slurs in the other position, 4-3, and if I do the 4-3 slurs here, look at the camera. Now I'm much more center. So it's easier for me. Now if I get it even farther here, it's even easier. But then it's a different feel for the right hand. But it's stronger, you see? Because I'm not moving away. And also that will affect and change the angle of the position. Like if the lower the guitar neck is, you need to center more to be a little bit more comfortable. If it's far away, then you're twisting too much. So a combination of bringing it center and then thinking of the neck. You want it this high, so because that way it's much more similar to a relaxed state. Because piano, for example, that also requires tension. It's less than this one. When you do this, look how much tension versus this. This is relaxed. This requires some tension. This requires much more, what do you call that? Supinated position? I don't remember now. This would require much more tension. So having something that gets closer to this, I have students even that play with the guitar on the right leg, and it works for them because it creates a different gravity point. So you need to work with someone that knows, or just observe yourself what has worked for you or not, on what triggers what, because observation is key to avoid injury, further injury. Also, you need to understand that when you already have an injury, it's very difficult to help heal if you are not giving a break. And by meaning a break, okay, you have problems on the left hand. I have a student in Taiwan that now is having issues on the left hand. So I told him, well, then I want you to get really heavy on your right hand. You're not going to waste any time. Perhaps you cannot play on the left hand, but you're going to do all of these exercises on the right hand. And I gave him a list of things that he needs to do to keep it going, to keep the development going in some direction while he gives some rest for the left.
It's important not to to lose focus and to think, oh my God, I have tendonitis now. I'm never going to be able to do something again. But it's an issue, of course, and you need to see what's causing it. But on the other hand, it's usually only in one
temporary,
hand.
Yes.
Temporary and on one hand, yeah.
And you need to check, work, and do. If it's in the US, the physical therapy here is usually not great. You need to find someone that really wants to do the job and find some trigger points and release trigger points and make sure that gets you back into as relaxed and normal as your body needs to be to engage in activities so detailed like guitar performance. So being aware of that, being aware of the position, changing all of that. I have, for example, just because you mentioned that, I had inflammation on the cubital nerve, and I had this finger 3 or 4 getting numb. And then that's when I started thinking, okay, they wanted to operate, and I said, no operation. And then I rethink my guitar position to be able to play. And now that has gone away over the years. From time to time, I will have not the greatest day, but I still will be able to go through. In China, 3 years, 2017 or 18, I don't remember, I had a car accident, and in the middle of a expressway, it was pretty bad. And
wow.
The whiplash got me to have problems on the C6, C7, which then got these 2 numb. And again, doing all these things, so bringing shin, exercises, position, then you start getting all of this physical, because again, they wanted to operate because the protrusion is pressing the nerve on the back. And I said, no, I will do physical therapy, whatever I take. And now I'm back into playing. And from time to time, I will have days. I never did any operation. So there will be better days than others. And when, according to I also will gauge what kind of repertoire. It doesn't matter what program I send to this or that festival. If that day I'm having a bad day with this hand thing, and I cannot cancel the concert for X or Y, then I will adjust my programming to something that is less demanding.
Yeah.
You're
in good company. Christian Zimmermann is also doing that always, the pianist. Always people are always scared that he said in a program, but he's probably not gonna play it.
That's okay. That's why I have
perfectly fine.
Different programs going on, because I won't play romance, but I can start with pieces that are less demanding. I can do. Ojos brujos. Look, without warming up, this is like my emergency kit. Like if I had to do something, I go to a whole set of Cuban music. You probably heard that from Joaquin.
Kind of not, yeah.
I do these danzas cubanas from the 19th century.
Wow.
Which they're actually for piano, but they work. In other words, be smart about what you're gonna to play in the day that you're not having your best day with tendonitis in this case. But you need to make sure that you give enough rest so you can discern if it's the guitar that is creating that, or the tendonitis was created by something else and it's get aggravated by playing guitar. You need to make sure that you distinguish clearly, because the doctors will tell you most likely just rest. But rest without finding out the cause does not mean that this issue will not return. You need to find the nature of it. You need to get to the bottom of it. If they are not willing to do, then you by yourself figure it out and take a break, and then start reintroducing things one at a time and see what triggers what. Like that's what they recommend people that have, for example, allergies.
Sure.
Start eliminating things.
True.
And then add them back up little by little and see what reaction you get. What's causing it.
Yeah, interesting. Very good. Okay, we're going to jump into the questions from YouTube right now. We are not done yet. So, first question we have 1, 2...
I actually have to have a rehearsal in 3:30. It's 3:17 now, so okay, I can answer before 3:30, whichever you want, because this guy is gonna be calling me to open the door downstairs.
Perfect. Now, okay, let's do a quick round. So, first question by Alan. Hi, do you focus on the A finger backstage? It seems to give me the most trouble under pressure.
Yes, to all of us, by the way. What's his name again?
Alan,
I will do these exercises here, isolating the A finger. You can do A, M, I, M, M, I, A, M, I. So I will practice switching. If, for example, there is a set of exercises, I think it's 80 or 103, I don't remember, from Carlevaro. Let me look for Carlevaro really quick. Where are you? About Carlevaro book 4. What is book 2? Oh, I don't have it here. Yes, I do.
In the depths of your...
No, it is here. It's here. Carlevaro has, in book 2, a whole series of exercises that are good for the A finger. Where are you? Here. So, 85. I was close. So he will do M A I A, and then change the bass, and then change the pattern. Then you go to where are you? 96. No. All of these exercises onto 103. They work on that. Then this one, for example, 104. That works on displacement the A finger, because usually what happens, the fingers wants to tuck in and doesn't want to come out. So here, keeping the A on first finger, I'm moving the M finger away and adjacent string. So that's Carlevaro book 2, exercise 104. And then he does inverted after, and then you have the A finger moving away. then you will have exercise 106, and then exercise 107, MA, MA, MI. So you see all of these things work. Also practicing flicking the string. I mean, I don't know exactly what exactly your issue is. I'm kind of trying to give you an answer that covers whatever issues you may be having. If your finger,
nothing less.
if your finger gets stuck in and it's having problems coming out, or if the finger is tense and it doesn't return, all of that has to do with relaxation and the extensor. So practicing flicking the string. So you can plant M and I on second and third string, and just do this. See there? And then you can do the traditional pluck, then flicking. Then you can do one pluck correctly and then the other one flick. Like a pick with one finger. And also, one thing that will help you immediately with the A finger, if you actually do a little bit of scales between pinky and A. I don't have a good nail on the pinky, so it sounds terrible. But what happens when you're doing pinky and A scale, then the A finger is the dominant finger. And then he will actually react differently. If anything, try this. You do an M and A scale, and then do pinky and A scale, and then go back to the M and A, and you'll see how much easier and slightly faster you will be able to play. You do this for a while, A pinky and then pinky A. Both ways, and then go back to your scale. You see how your finger becomes much more apt. Next
awesome.
question.
Wonderful. Next question by
I'm trying to cover them all.
Yes, by Ludi Bitar, about this little about little breaks between every 20 minutes. If you do breaks for practicing, how long are they in what time?
5 to 10 minutes.
You
can do a change of activity, or you can do 10-minute set and do half an hour and then come back another 20 minutes after. You know, it's depending. If you want to lose. If you don't want to get completely cold, don't take too much time in between. If I want to do, if I only have 1 hour and I want to do breaks of 20 minutes, then I'll do 20 minutes, 5-minute break, 20 minutes, 5-minute break. Just stand up, drink water, come back, stretch, go back and sit down again when I'm ready. It's important that you come back when you're ready. There is not a prescribed thing. Awesome. Also practicing with a timer helps you be a little bit more accurate about not wasting time. I have only 5 minutes to work in this, and then you all of a sudden find a lot more focus, because when that alarm start ringing, then you want to move on. That's also maybe a way to do it, to tackle, so you don't get too deep into technique or warm up, and then you lose track of what you need to be doing.
Wonderful. Okay, great. Next question by Jorge Luis. Rene, would you say something about stage fright? Talk your own experience, or how do you help your students?
Okay, that's a big question.
That's maybe another live stream.
Yes. Okay, so first of all, for a stage fright, you need to embrace it. Denying it or thinking that it's nothing, or it's not a problem, and then when you get to the stage you start panicking, that's not going to help you. You need to embrace it. So I'm going to be nervous. So what? You need to understand what's happening. What are what it triggers when you're nervous. What kind of things? Is your A finger acting up? In which way acts up? So when you're practicing, actually, you start doing warm-ups and even practice routines that will address this issue when you start getting nervous. Because there are particular ones that you will recognize, So, second, if you play in a repertoire that is far beyond what you can technically deliver, you will always feel stress, and you will feel that something that you're still not delivering at a comfort zone that you can. So that doesn't mean playing everything easier. That means the challenge has to be just manageable. Cannot be such a gap. So that also will bring your stress level down. Third, doing it enough, playing it enough. If you are actually playing only one piece in a program that many other people are playing, you need to realize that piece is always that kind of experience is always the most nerve-wracking one, because you haven't even feel warm up by the time you finish playing and you're done. So it's usually not the best scenario. If you're playing a full program, it's a lot easier because you can administer your pieces in a way that you can progressively get warmer or feel better or more confident. With one single piece, no problem, not possible. If memory is an issue and you're stressed by memory, nowadays with an iPad and a pedal, that program is eliminated, but you need to make sure that you're practicing, because sometimes you are in a realm, you almost have memory, the whole thing you know by memory, but you don't trust yourself. That's a dangerous place to be, because you either need to commit to looking or not looking, or working with the music and make sure that certain passages that are very difficult that you need to look away from the iPad or the music, and then when you come back and look at the music, where are you looking exactly? So you're not getting lost in the music. Breathing, very important actually. What helps me the most about not being nervous in a way that I can manage is the breathing. Believe it or not, tons of breathing before I perform. Sometimes I just don't even play guitar, just like breathing exercises, and until I feel a little hyperventilated, until that degree, because that brings you actually a lot more relaxed in the stage. And don't forget to breathe in the stage. Some people eat bananas, and it helps them. I mean, the bananas has very little, it has some potassium and very little natural beta blocker, but it's so little that it's ridiculous. It's more in your head than anything else. I mean, you need to eat like a whole thing of bananas in order to get probably, the whole thing, in order to get what is probably in one of those beta blocker pills. If this is something that I know some people that play and drink beta blockers, and if that works for you, it's fine. If that's something that you don't want to get to and you want to conquer it yourself, then performing repertoire that you can manage as well. By the way, beta blocker pills do not help with that. You either can play it or you cannot play it. Doesn't matter how much you drink or how many pills you will drink, you will still get nervous, or you will be insecure because you're playing something that you're not completely comfortable with. So for my students, what I do is I make them play as often as they can. Make sure that every experience that they're gonna do on the performance is a positive one. That, how do I guarantee that? By making sure that they perform pieces that they feel very comfortable. No matter how bad they may think that things will go, they are prepared enough to any eventuality that will come up and get out of that problem. That gets them to be a little bit more relaxed and lower the stress level, because the stress level is created here in the head. Yeah. And then also finding sometimes, one person in the audience. There's always one person in the audience that is smiling from here to here, waiting for you to play and holding to every note that you have. Don't play for guitarists. Playing for guitarists is terrible, because they're only going to be looking at what finger are you doing. Yeah, exactly. What do you do? Did you do this note or not? Like, did you play that note or not? No, play for people. People don't care about that, like how fast you play that scale or not.
Play for people, not for guitarists.
No, the guitarists, the only thing they're gonna do is criticize. There's nothing that you can do to accommodate everyone. Always someone will say something, and the minute that you realize that that's a reality of the playing, and you cannot control it, then you'll be a free man in that way.
Okay, very last question.
Yes.
By Hans. What would you recommend for someone who has stopped playing and wants to get back into playing? So Hans hasn't played. He's 55 years old. Probably when the job got stressful, he stopped guitar playing, and now 10 years after, he wants to get back into guitar playing. What would you recommend?
A teacher. Work with someone that will gradually see where you're at, see what you want to do, and see how to take you there. By yourself, doesn't matter how many YouTube tutorials are out there, it's not the same. There are many things that you may be missing. So it's always wise to go about finding a teacher, look for people that they would recommend, and see, what other experience the other students have had. So that is one. Second, realize exactly what your goals, what exactly you want to achieve. Do you want to play for yourself? Do you want to be able to play in public? Do you want to play, what level are you talking about? Because depending on what the answer is how deep the rabbit hole goes. So I would recommend just guidance. Don't do it by yourself. Find an instrument that inspires you, that makes you want to come back and play. Find repertoire that you like, and of course, cannot be all just the difficult staples of the repertoire. You need to start with easier pieces, way easier pieces that will actually be musically satisfying, you know, and still will deliver, you know, the reason why you want to go back and play guitar on the first place, which is enjoyment.
Wonderful. So wonderful. Rene, it has been the greatest honor, and all your invaluable insights that you are sharing with all of us. It's just amazing. You're such a walking encyclopedia when it comes to talking with you about this. I have one last. It's not a question. It's a remark by Gary that I want to share because I think it's beautiful. He says, "Perhaps it is time that we consider our body our first instrument. The guitar doesn't need the warm up. We do." And I think this is a wonderful word, and it makes us
absolutely
be more aware and care about ourselves, because we play the guitar. The guitar doesn't play itself. We do that.
Exactly. You know,
Rene, this has been so great. Thank you so much for doing this public live stream that we have been streaming on Tonebase, on Facebook, and on YouTube simultaneously on the same time. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you everybody who was watching and be with us. And it was the greatest honor talking with you, Rene. Thank you.
My
Have
pleasure.
a wonderful time with your upcoming concerts, which is starting again, and with your rehearsal right now.
Enjoy your summer, everyone, and you know, practice, play is beautiful. Playing is beautiful. Remember why you started playing on the first place. It's so often as professional we forget. Remember that. That will get you back.
So guys, thank you so much, and I will see you over the course of the next week with more upcoming live streams. Have a good one, and bye bye.